coming up next.
I was always one of those people who wanted to get married. I believed in true love. I believed in happiness and a great marriage, and I wanted to get married and have a family. But then I woke up one day, I was 26 years old, and the boyfriend that I had dated for so long told me that he was going to go break up with me to go snort ketamine upstate New York in a festival. And my whole
Ooh.
world shattered just for a moment or more. But it was the greatest blessing because if you can take back those pieces, you have literally a map on exactly where you need to go to heal. So I had an epiphany and a divine moment where I could have looked at him and said, "What's wrong with you? You're an addict. You're leaving this relationship. You're screwed up. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how can you choose like that over us?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, but God gave me a moment where I had divinity and I said, "How did I create and attract this scenario?"
Welcome to Faith Over Addiction podcast, where the chains of fixing and striving are broken and joy is rediscovered in Christ. You are here because you know there's more for you, a life beyond addiction's chaos, rooted in God's peace and promises. This is the place where Christian women like you learn to release the weight of fixing and striving and instead lean into God's strength to create a home filled with love, grace, and hope. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Proverbs 31:25. That's you. You may not feel like it yet, but you are stronger than you know. And God has so much more for you than carrying someone else's addiction. Here, we'll uncover how to set healthy boundaries with love and a little humor. Find resilience and grace in the messy moments of life. Celebrate small victories and embrace joy like never before. Lean into God's promises for restoration and strength because He's not done with your story or your loved ones. This is your invitation to rise up, embrace your worth in God's kingdom, and take back what's been stolen by addiction, your peace, your joy, your future. Your faith is the foundation and your boundaries are the bridge, and God's truth is your guide. I'm Tanya Gioia, your host and fellow traveler on this journey through the chaos of addiction. I'm here to cheer you on, equip you with tools that work, and share the truth that's changed my life. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Together, we'll uncover how to create safe, loving space for healing, starting with your own heart and home. By setting boundaries, trusting God's plan, and embracing His truth, you can reclaim your joy, your peace, and your family's future. Then you will be able to stand firm for your family and legacy as a kingdom daughter, a woman who can laugh at the days to come, knowing her identity is secure in Christ. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and get comfortable. Let's walk this journey together. We're about to take back what's been stolen, create a safe, healing space for you and your family, and rediscover the joy God has waiting for you. Welcome to Faith Over Addiction, where women are learning about their identity in Christ, who they are and whose they are, grounding themselves so they can be a safe, spacious person for the people in their lives that are struggling with addiction. And today I have the pleasure of working with Chaya Garcia, and we figured out we're pink mic cover buddies. We have a lot of pink going on in here. So this is going to be a very feminine directed show. One of the things that Chaya does is she helps people re-empower themselves as a dating, training, and relationship expert. So, Chaya, tell us a little bit more about your story, how you got here, and I understand that you're raising little ones right now.
Yeah, amazing. So thank you, Tanya. So nice to be here. What an honor. So I'm a relationship expert, like you just said, and how I got to where I am now is very in line with your program. So I was always one of those people who wanted to get married. I believed in true love. I believed in happiness and a great marriage, and I wanted to get married and have a family. But then I woke up one day I was 26 years old, and the boyfriend that I had dated for so long told me that he was going to go break up with me to go snort ketamine upstate New York in a festival. And my whole
Ooh.
world shattered just for a moment or more. But it was the greatest blessing because if you can take back those pieces, you have literally a map on exactly where you need to go to heal. So I had an epiphany and a divine moment where I could have looked at him and said, "What's wrong with you? You're an addict. You're leaving this relationship. You're screwed up. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how can you choose like that over us?"
Mm, mhm.
Um, but God gave me a moment where I had divinity and I said, "How did I create and attract this scenario?"
Wow, that is a true epiphany. So as you're asking yourself, you're devastated as you're asking yourself this question, how did you begin to unpack it?
Yeah. So I'm lying there in fetal position, totally numb, but I'm like, it's either me figuring this out or it's just going to repeat. So I started going to program. My friend was going to Coda. She was like, "Why don't you go to Naranon?" And I was like, "Great." So I went to Naranon, which again, grace of God that even I had a friend at that time who knew about program. Most people in their 20s do not know about program, especially if you're not an active addict like me. I was so successful on the outside. I had straight A's. I finished my master's. I was running. I was fit. I had a house and a car, but I was so sick and no one could
Mm,
see it because
mhm,
when you attract drama, your drama is inside you and it doesn't show up in any way, but your thought processes and belief systems that
mhm.
nobody tells you exactly how to fix or be aware of.
Well, they don't wanna know because you look
Yeah.
so good. You look like you've got it together, and you don't wanna share it because why do you wanna burst their bubble?
Right. You're like, "Aren't you proud of me? My straight A's, my this, my job, my money,
Yeah.
whatever." So I went to program and at first I got scared, but then I came back and I did all of this work on myself where I learned how do two people attract each other, right? Like if you have
Mm,
a woman who had a father who was an alcoholic and he had rage,
mm,
how did that one person, if she goes into a room of 300 men, will walk out with that one man who is also an alcoholic, who will then in a marriage hurt her and have rage? Like, how does that I was obsessed, Tanya. I was obsessed with finding out how people choose each other. What makes one person attracted to another? And it has nothing to do with looks. Let's say everyone looks the same. And it comes to really belief systems about how much we love ourselves and how honest we are with ourselves. And
mhm,
one of the things that I do with the women that I work with who are looking to either get back into a new relationship, like they've been married and they want to get married again, or they've never been married and they don't want to, screw it up, um, is by realizing that you have to have a low tolerance for pain for other people and a high tolerance of pain for yourself. Does
Oh,
that,
you're gonna have to say that again. Explain
yes.
that in a scenario. What does that exactly look like?
Yeah, great question. So, women who have addict partners have learned to diminish um, like the pain, and they basically can tolerate high levels of pain. And they think that's like kind of their strong suit. Like, I can handle this. Like, I
Mm,
got this. Like, I can manage this. I can handle this. I'm strong. Like, it's okay. I went through this before. And so they have a high tolerance for pain or BS or abusive behavior or neglectful behavior or addictive behavior. But
mhm.
because their tolerance is too high, it's because their worth is too low.
So I'm willing to put up with this behavior because it feeds me in some way. I can say I'm strong, that I know how to handle it. I've handled this before. At the same time, why is my worth so low?
Yeah. And you don't even realize that your worth is so low because you think you're so worthy because you're needed.
Got it.
I thought I was worthy because I was needed. I was his inspirer. I was his cheerleader. I was like, be like me, be successful like me. Why don't you just, right? But that's an illness. When we keep our energy, when I kept my energy and I put it outside of me, And I
Hmm.
was like, you heal, you get healthy, you need this, you need to focus more on God. That's literally a disease, just like addiction on the flip side. And I
Hmm.
learned this in program. I was like, I didn't know I was an addict. That's crazy. I always thought it was that. But really, it's just a control issue when all of your energy goes outside of you for other people instead of inside of you for yourself. And then from a healthy space, you share.
So I put it this way. If I could have smoked the people that I was attracted to, because my story is very similar. If I could have smoked them, you would have seen the addiction part of it. But because I was acting in a misteaching of the helpmeet in a Christian context, a misteaching of, hey, I am shoring this up for you. It didn't look like I was doing addictive behavior. But take that person out of my life, and I fall apart just like the addict of what am I going to do? Who am I going to be? How am I going to manage? What other addiction switching will I do? Will it be food? Will it be movies, scrolling, whatever? It's just not as visible because I, like you, got the master's degree, got the job, did the perfectionism thing. And then I went, wait, I'm not living my life. I'm living their life. So you have this experience. You go to Naranon, which is like Al-Anon. Coda is children of sorry, children of codependence. And when you go to these programs, you said you were scared at first. What
Yeah.
what was scary?
You know, the devil has a voice. I actually just wrote a poem on it. The devil has a voice, and it literally sounds like don't do, don't go. You're not ready. It's not the right time. It's not the right people. It's too much money, too much this, too far. I don't want to drive that. You know, the devil just says stay stagnant. Like the literally like his whole purpose in this world is just like not to have you grow and fulfill your purpose. And God, like two-thirds of his whole name is go, like make movement, change, you know, don't be too afraid, jump into faith. So when I first got to program though, I got overwhelmed and then I didn't go. And then I realized, you know what? I can't get through this alone. So I went back to program 6 weeks later, and then I went consistently every week, and I got a sponsor. And I realized that I was very hard on myself. And one of the things that they teach you when you're in typical society, which is why my kids are not going to go to high school or school really. They're kindergarten now, so it counts because I'm building my business, but they were homeschooled before that, and they'll be homeschooled after. Is what they teach you in school is to get a specific result, right? A, B, C, and D, which one's right? Which is your right answer? And you build your worth about around a right answer and about achieving something that someone else tells you is correct, which is the opposite way to become successful. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, it's like, wait, you're supposed to come up with like 50 solutions and figure out which one best for you right now and which one's like the most, you know, risk aversive, but come up with like 50 options, you know, not like one right answer. So I was taught that you go to school, you get good grades, you get a degree. And really, what that did was attach my worth to something external versus internal.
Hmm.
And when my internal worth was like, wait, who am I?
Mm.
Then you literally start from scratch, things you should have been taught at day one. And at 26, I had to learn who's my inner child? What does she want? What does she sound like? What does she need? How did I get here? And so now I help women kind of take that journey that I went through and understand now so profoundly because now I'm happily married to a really sober, stable, epic man. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Epic Love Expert is my handle
Nice.
on all my socials. Um, and yeah, so now I help women make sure that they don't have to go through all of that time, money, and energy that I spent learning this. I can help guide them to the right healthy partner.
I want to back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
This is profound. When you said the devil says don't, because we often get
Oh
into
yeah.
a religious construct and we're like, God says, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's not really true. So I love the devil says don't and God says go. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so we are all souls in a physical body. We are here for such a short period of time. Even if you live till 120, it is such a short period of time in the scheme of life. And we really are here for a purpose. I really believe in the concept of tikkun olam, which is when there's sparks spread out in the world, and we're meant to just like bring up the light and not have the light inside of us become dim,
Mm.
which means that we need to understand how we are shining, how we are connective, how we are loving, how we are compassionate. Because if we're suffering, hurt people hurt. So the devil says, don't do it, right? Oh, it cost $100 for therapy. I mean, I'm much more expensive, but let's say the cheapest therapy out there is $150 in America. Let's just say. And they're like, no, don't do that, man. Like, that's expensive. $150 for 60 minutes. Don't do it. Oh, program, that's like an hour a week. It's like 30 minutes. That's an hour of your night. You're not gonna, don't do it. Oh, like, God, like, don't do it. And so really, we have to invest in ourselves. We have to give ourselves energy to get back energy. You lay around all day, you're exhausted by the end of the night. You go out and you help a bunch of 10 people and go for a run. You're like wired. So you would think, I'm so tired. I went for a run. I helped all these people, but actually you filled up. You're inspired. You're moved. There's movement. God is go because you won't even learn what the next direction is if you don't move. So God says, don't do a bunch of stuff, but it's not really don't do it. It's like protect yourself from things that will take away your vision and your path towards your purpose. But go and do that and figure out what your purpose is and make a mistake and learn from your mistakes and love yourself. But it's very much a movement forward where the devil says you're not good enough. You don't have enough experience. Get another degree, get another certification, find another testimonial, first build a website, first date someone crappy before you date someone great, test the waters, sleep with them for like don't move forward in commitment with anything. The devil hates commitment, so he says don't do it, it's too hard or too expensive or too much time. And God's like, go, love yourself, make movement happen and invest.
How did you go from the fetal position where the devil is saying, play small, you're not worth it, hide away, you screwed this up, it's never going to be okay. So you get in program, you find the sponsor, you do that kind of stuff. How did you go from there to building that inner light, to filling that inner well? What were the things, what were the processes you did?
Yeah, such a great question. The first process I think is the most important is finding that environment and support system. Because if you've dated or married to an addict, or if you have a kid that's an addict, you probably have a lot of dysfunction surrounding you. It's like kind of what's happening. So the first thing is change your environment. I realized that I was getting healthy and my environment wasn't conducive to that. So I
Mm.
literally packed a bag, a suitcase, and my guitar, not that I played it much, and I left to a completely different country. And I had the masters, the this, the everything, the house, the new car. I sold my car, like everything. And I packed a bag and I moved to a different country because I knew that if I was near my family of origin, I would never be able to get clean. Not clean because I ever did drugs, clean because if you have too much drama in your head, it's dirty. You got a dirty mind. It's mucky. It's hard to get through the day. You got other people's negative voices in your head. You have their
Mm.
problems, their complaints about you, their what they think you should. It's murky. It's hard. So to get clean as a codependent, I knew I needed a different environment. So that's step one. I changed. I literally moved, like out of that scene because your family of origin or the unhealthy people around you will say, just help them, help the person who's suffering. They need help, help them. And you're like, dude, help them? What about me? I got to help myself. No, I'm
Mhm.
not going to drive 3 hours to do something that they're not even going to appreciate. No, you might
Mhm.
need to do that because you feel so crappy about your worth that you feel like you have to go out of the way to give them what you feel that they need right now. But then you're exhausted at the end of the night. And quite honestly, they didn't ask for it. So they're not really going to change.
So
And
you're
I
giving
just,
them
yes.
unhelpful help. If they can do it for themselves or they didn't ask for it, then you stepping in is basically saying you're incompetent and I will take care of it for you, which keeps us in our mask. So you're setting this boundary. You're at a free point, unlike if this is your child or you're in a marriage or something. You're at a free point. You're setting this boundary that's healing you. Take us through what kept you from, again, picking the one guy that needed you to save him while you're in the other country. How did you
Yeah.
go through this healing process?
It's such a great question. How did I stop the cycle? First, I was aware of it. That was my first thing. Once you get a program, you realize you're sicker than you think. And I was just like, what do you mean? So I really realized first I had to consider it a disease, because once you consider it a disease, it's like, oh, this is something important. It's not just like I have a hair out of place. Like, this is a really big issue that I have to work on every day, just like an addict. And so I went to program in the new country. I was in Israel. So I went to program in Israel in the new country. To keep that support going, I stopped contact with my ex. I said, this isn't going nowhere. Stop contact. And um, I surrounded myself with positive people, and I was obsessed. So, like, if you looked in my room wherever I was, now I'm an entrepreneur, it's like totally different books. But if you looked in my room, then it was like Women Who Love Too Much by Robin Norwood, and
Yeah.
Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie, and Abram Tversky, like, I forgot the title of that one, but like Addiction or something. And like, I was like, I am determined, to create a future that doesn't look like this. So I read books, I went to program, I changed my environment. And for people who are married now, not everyone, not this is not to everyone, but you can still leave. Active addiction is one of the most common things. I'm a relationship person who did my bachelor's, my master. One of the most common things that most people will tell you, if it's active addiction, you can leave. Like, it's a common thing that has a lot more destruction than benefit. So
Mm,
if you're listening and your spouse is in an active addiction, or your kid's in active addiction, and this is not coming from me, this comes from a program that I've learned over and over from all the people before me and sat in the rooms before me, they're not meant to be in your environment. Because if you want to get clean, if you're even listening to this podcast, like, there's something greater for you. You can't change your child, especially if you're displaying the same behaviors of, I can't control myself. And if you can't
mhm.
control yourself around them, how are they going to control themselves around the drugs?
You bring out a great point of most people don't understand boundaries. Boundaries are not me trying to control you. Boundaries are what I do to keep myself safe, what I do to keep myself sane, how I spiritually, physically, emotionally nurture myself. So when I am stuck in that, if you would just do X, X, and X, then the mortgage is going to get paid. The kids are going to be all right. Everybody's going to be fine. When I'm trying to use boundaries to make you responsible, I'm fighting I'm fighting a losing battle, and I'm not really loving you. I'm feeding my own need to control what is uncontrollable. So I love it that you're putting it out there for that. You said you cut off conversation with the former boyfriend. Was he seeking you, or was it your need to stay connected still reaching out? Because I've seen it both ways. Sometimes it can be our need to go, I just need to touch it. I just need to touch it. I just need to touch it.
I mean, that's why addiction has the concept of relapse. So it was both. He would reach out and I'd be like, why are you resparking this? This is painful. And I would reach out and he would be happy to hear from me, but also know that it was just creating pain. At some point, I had a friend who pulled me over on the side. He didn't pull me over. We were parked because I had dropped him off. And he said, if you can't, he was an addict of alcohol, maybe heroin. I don't remember, cocaine. I don't know, hard drugs. I don't remember what exactly. But he was like, if you can't go through withdrawal, you'll never get clean. And so for us women, whoever's a woman listening to this with a spouse or a son, more so a spouse, like, if you can't go that dark time, if you can't get yourself through that pain, you'll never get clean. So it's painful. Like it was painful to leave him. It was painful to stop speaking to him. It was painful to have that retouch back out and be like, no, this is not healthy. Because what I learned in my recovery process is the way to become successful, which is why I'm a successful entrepreneur now, is because I understand that pain isn't bad. It's a precious awareness indicating nurturance. It's an acronym that I created. It's precious. It's coming from you for you. Awareness, it's painful. You're aware of it. Indicating, it's trying to tell you something. Nurturance, like you need something. You need you. Something needs your attention. And I'm not afraid of pain. So how we create addicts in our life, again, this is from my experience, and I hope no one listening takes this in the take it in a good way. We're all here to heal and be vulnerable, is that you're afraid of pain.
Mm.
Women who can't leave the active addict. It's like, he's gonna freaking die, man. Like, if I leave him, he's gonna die. He has no family and he's gonna and it's gonna be all my, like, or their kid. It's like, if I don't go to him now, he's gonna die. Or like, I can't handle him being in pain. I can't handle him being in pain. No one, they see pain as like a very negative thing. And I see pain as a very positive thing, or just neutral, or like, you know what? It's painful to be poor and not do what you want to do in life. And it's painful to grow and scale a multi-million-dollar business, right? Both are painful. Both take a lot of effort. Both of them, you're both filled with it, your head. They're both taking a lot of your energy, but there's pain everywhere, dude. Just choose your pain. Like he's my brother actually got murdered 2 years ago, because
Oh.
of an accident from the police. He got addicted to alcohol through a friend who got him addicted. Um, and he then developed bipolar, then didn't sleep for a
Mm.
few nights. My mother called the ambulance to get him stabilized. The police weren't trained and they shot him at his own home in front of my mom. But
Oh.
part I know. But part of the journey before his passing was my mother could not release the need to protect because she was too afraid of pain. And I learned, because of from where I came, I have a 4 and a 5-year-old. Like, dude, pain is not bad. You want to get somewhere, you got to learn how to be friends with pain, how to talk to pain, how pain shows up, and you're like, "What's up, pain? I see you, but you're not going to stop me from living and achieving my dreams, or breaking up with my ex, or coddling and enabling my son." Because if he doesn't understand that pain is not bad, you just got to get through it to feel strong. And once you feel strong, that's your greatest gift. Then how is he ever gonna grow and fly without me?
So pain is going back to the devil's going to say walk away from it.
Yeah,
Is going to say don't
don't do
don't
it.
enter into it. This is going to hurt. Don't be part of that. Whereas it's kind of, have you heard the buffaloes in the storm? So buffaloes will not run from a storm. They will run into it because they know if they run through it, it happens faster and they're done. Right?
Wow. I didn't know
So
that. That's a cool story. I love
isn't
learning
that a
things
cool
new.
story? Yeah.
Such
So
a cool story,
they
and I was
actually do that. And so you were in this other country, you're looking at the healing. What kept you moving towards who your wholeness was, rather than it's so much easier to fall back into the addiction? It's so much easier to say, oh, that young man loves me and he wants to be with me. And we see that outer shell, but we don't really delve deep into who that person really is because we want it so bad. That's
Yeah.
the addict dilemma. That's the relationship addict dilemma. So how did you come out so that you built to the person? Because if your husband, I'm going to conjecture this, if your husband had met you at the point where you were still in your addiction, he probably wouldn't have looked twice at you.
Or me and him. Yeah,
True. He
100%.
was too healthy. He was too healthy for you to be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you move
Stable.
into this health so that you could attract another healthy person?
I had to get, first of all, I want to give a lot of credit to my sponsor and to my mentor. I had two people in my life who I very much chose. And it also says it in the Bible, like, you need to choose a mentor who knows more than you. Choose one who wants to be like, that is where you're at, right? So don't take how to get a six-pack advice from someone who's overweight. You wouldn't, trust a doctor to heal you if they're smoking cigarettes every day. So you want to have, like, for me, I'm a relationship coach who helps people get married. Most relationship coaches have crappy marriages or aren't even married. So, like, to me, that baffles me, right? So you want to find someone who is where you want to be and who's done the work. And that's why you don't want to take financial advice from your poor mom. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Mhm.
you got to learn where you want to take your advice. So, one, I want to give a lot of credit to my sponsor, Nancy, and another woman in my life, Mrs. Edelman, who I would just call up in my dark moments and be like, I did attract three after that relationship, people who had addictions, right? So one of them on the first date, he was like, let's go drinking. I was like, drinking? I was like, I don't really drink. Anyways, I did attract it, but I had the honesty and awareness to walk away. I also did a lot of vision on like who my husband is. And I would do a lot of manifestation on like drawing him and seeing our life together and buying him presents and writing him notes way before he ever showed up into my life. So I was always kind of attaching myself to that healthy outcome to keep myself grounded in knowing which path was that and the path that wasn't that. And one time I got close to someone who wasn't super healthy. And I called my sponsor up and she said, this form of behavior is a controlling behavior. So even if he's not an active addict right now, this is a behavior that's going to get a lot worse in marriage. And so I helped people in my life who knew more than me because part of being a addict on the love relationship side is you so badly want to be right. You think you're so smart and you are, but really you are a little blinded. I was a little blinded to um wanting to be like, nah, it's going to be okay. And part of my humility now is like finding those people who will keep me grounded. So the way that I was able to transition was manifesting who he was, buying him presents, having a clear vision, being honest with myself of what this behavior looked like, and staying connected to my sponsor and another mentor who knew more than me so that when I wanted things to work out, I can soundboard it with someone who was more objective and I knew healthier in that area.
That is such a beautiful, beautiful story. I would call my sponsor and go, if I were not crazy, how would I behave? I'm basically calling, and it was a joke between us, but the idea was calling myself out and going, this is walking into crazy behavior. I don't want to be here, but I don't know a different way to do it. So how do you take your clients from the behavior they're coming to you because they don't want to continue this behavior? How do you take the women you work with from the behavior they don't want to do, just an overview, I know you can't go in detail, to the behavior that they do want to do, to be even being aware of seeing, you said it earlier, I wouldn't have seen a healthy man. He would have just passed by and I would have been like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the first step is them wanting and committing. I think the first step is commitment to yourself because really, as addicts of people and control and love and approval and pain, of not a good way, of other people and managing other people's pain, you're not committed to yourself, you're committed to another person. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your child, maybe it's your parent, but you are very other focused. You ever know who a codependent is? You go, hey, Tanya, how are you? And they go, well, my son is doing a bit better today. Or actually, my son just relapsed. Or, hey, Tanya, how are you? And go, actually, my husband just, he had surgery and I'm worried about the pills. And you're like, oh, it's so good to hear from you, Tanya, about you. I mean, obviously, this is, I'm giving you, it's like you can hear who's still addicted. They don't even answer from where they're at. They answer from where they are at in relation to another person, like their child or their spouse. So the first thing is commit to you, right? It is not nice to be nice to other people if you don't even know how to be nice to yourself. Do you
Mm-hmm.
get that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're
Absolutely.
not nice. It's
You're
not good.
seeking. You're
You're
seeking to be
speaking.
filled from the outside rather than to be filled from source. And I use a slightly different example of you can ask a woman, would you like chicken or fish? And she'll turn around and ask whoever is with her, well, what do you want? because she doesn't know. She
Yeah.
doesn't know, and it's not a value that she does know. It's just keeping everybody else happy. So knowing themselves, wanting this, what's the next layer that begins to shed so that you won't look at the people with the addictive behaviors, or you'll at least recognize it?
Yeah. I think also lowering your tolerance for pain. So, a lot of the women that I work with, which now I'm going into a mastermind with all of them, is they love to say, but maybe. So, it's kind of realizing when you're making excuses versus being honest. So the reality versus the fantasy. The reality is things really aren't working that great. Things really aren't that amazing. But the fantasy is, well, maybe I just date him a little bit longer, wait a little bit longer, he'll get clean. Like I can see that he's changing, or maybe if I just wait a little bit longer, or love him a little bit more, he'll get clean, or he'll be better, or he'll change. And this realization that having a low tolerance of pain for other people is a good thing, so that you can then walk away. Like, there's two different streams in the dating world. I'm the outlier, which is probably why I'm so much better than all of them. But simply also because I had programmed, not most dating coaches that program. They're like, just try again, you know, or just
Right?
put in the work. You don't want to date him, just try again. Or like, he's family, love him, be patient. And like, program teaches you, if this is toxic, you need you more than you need to be there for them. Because if you're
Yes.
not there, yeah,
Yes, which is what, if you're on the AA side, they will tell you, Alcoholics Anonymous, they will say this is a very selfish program. If I
yeah,
don't stay sober, everything else tumbles down, which is exactly what you're saying is protect your sobriety first, which is, am I feeling hurt? Am I feeling threatened? Am I feeling like I'm over giving, oversharing, over blah, 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 blah? But for most of us, we don't know what that is. How do you begin to get your folks who work with you to offer them the opportunity, even in a friendship relationship? Because we do it. I love that you said boss. If you are seeking this approval, a love, all those types of things, you're not just doing it with your intimate relationships. You're doing it with
so true.
everybody. So how do you have them practice in small ways?
Yeah, that's so great. So, the movement that I have created is called Love Lighters. So it's for people who learn how to light up their own love. The opposite of a love lighter, which is the movement that I've created for all of the people healing and following this, the opposite of that is a love letter. Like you let someone take away your love, like you let someone drain your energy, like you
Mhm.
let someone live inside of your head rent free, like you let someone take away your dreams because you're trying to make sure they achieve theirs. You are a love letter. Like, I let you take my love from me. And the way that you counteract that is literally through love letters, like what you would understand as a love letter, where you write down to yourself, dear self, I really, really love you. I know you're scared to move forward, but I'm so proud of you for starting this journey. You are so much stronger than you think. I'm so proud of you for taking these first steps. I love you so much. I'm always here for you. If you have any feelings, talk to me. I want to hear them. I promise I'll try to listen. Love yourself. And of course, I tell my clients to use their name. But when you start developing this relationship with yourself, where you write yourself love letters, my camera's at my face, but around my room are so many letters I write to myself every day, because that's the program that you need to be in every single day as a codependent, which is the other side of addiction. If you don't show up in love for yourself, which is a real need, you will try to become a love letter and let someone steal that love from you, because you're going to think, now that I'm needed, I am loved. But when you love yourself and you need you to write your love letters every day. It's part of program. You write yourself, you encourage yourself, you're proud of yourself, you approve of yourself. I don't need you anymore. And not only do I not need you, I don't want you. I don't want you to steal my energy, because I'm using it actively for me. So a big part of it is through communication, self-talk, and actual writing out letters to yourself where you can see and feel your own power.
Wow, that's awesome. How do you you've worked with yourself, you're writing these letters, you're coming back into solid, and that healthy person shows up. Are you afraid? Are you ready? How do you know? Not, I don't even want to say no. How do you begin to engage? And I don't care if it's a friendship or a boss or all those types of things. How do you begin to engage in a healthy way? What does that look like?
That's a good question. So the first step is you take a step back. The reason that women get into addictive relationships, including myself, no judgment to anyone, no harsh talk, I was there too, is through dominance. You're in your masculine energy. Doesn't mean I'm not feminine. Look at my pink mic. But I and most addicts, most codependents, are prone to being masculine in energy sometimes. Like I can't be vulnerable with you because you can hurt me, and that scares the crap out of me. So I'm going to be the
Mm,
more dominant one in this relationship. I'm so
mhm.
successful. You're the screwed up addict. I'm going to be thinking I'm better than you because I'm not, smoking pot every day or whatever.
Well, you have a
Um,
house, a car, a master's degree, a job. You've got all this perfectionism going. That's the reason why the addicts gravitated to you. Okay, so back. Sorry, I had to jump in and go.
no,
There's
yes,
a
always.
reason why this attraction is happening. So you're
Yeah.
you're you're attracted to the healthy person. Are you stepping out of your masculine energy?
Yeah. You're stepping out of your masculine, you're going into your feminine, and you're learning to observe instead of dictate. An addict, a codependent, so it doesn't get confusing, a woman who is addicted to narcissists or addicts, they go into their dominance and they love to dictate. When you walk me home tonight, make sure you walk me to the door, okay? Okay, says the guy. Oh, he really is that great. Okay, but would he have walked you to the door if you didn't freaking tell him? I don't know. You didn't let yourself see the reality instead of creating the fantasy, right? Oh, so like, oh yeah, pick me up at 7 and make sure to wear nice shoes because we're going to a nice or pick a nice restaurant. That's sushi. Okay, so he shows up and he's wearing nice shoes and he takes you to a sushi restaurant. Would he have done that on his own if you didn't dictate where he was going and let your fantasy play out? Or are you being feminine, which is a vessel, masculine energy, just like a masculine physical body, protrudes, it goes outwards, it likes to conquer, it's outward. And feminine energy, just like the physiological body, the bodies and the souls are parallels, it's inward, it's protective, it's more hidden. It's not supposed to be like, yo, this is how you're gonna love me, this is what you need to do. And dude, I was so masculine. I was like, this is how you need to love me. This is what you need to do. I was not feminine. So when I met my husband, I was so feminine. I was not trying to tell him where to take me, when to call me, how to text me, when to text me back. What I didn't do was if he did not text me, I was like, so because I work with a lot of women who are in their masculine, and they're like, if the guy doesn't text them, what do they do? What do you think they do? What do you think they do if they don't, if the guy doesn't text them?
They get on there and they text themselves. They're like, okay, I'm going to manage this relationship. I'm managing it because it makes me feel safe and in control.
Yeah. So the girls get back. So are we going out tonight? Question mark. Or are you going to take me out on Thursday? Or like, what about that date? I don't know. Whatever they text, they're like, dude, if he wants you, if you believe a healthy woman, I am now a healthy woman. A healthy woman believes she is deserving of receiving. And so she will wait to see if the new relationship in her life, whether it's a boss or a spouse or a friend, is giving to her as well, or if it's a very unbalanced relationship where she's the giver, she's the masculine, she's the, I'm going to help you and I'll be there for you and I'm going to love you so much and don't worry about it, it's going to be okay, honey. And I'll spend 3 hours talking with you about your problems, or I'll spend 3 hours extra after work so you think I'm a good employee, or I'll spend 3 extra hours cleaning the house or making dinner so you think I'm a good wife, whatever. But like the receiving, the feminine, the believability and the identity of being a vessel for the love versus the giver of the love, That's where that energy needs to shift. So when I met my husband, I was in my feminine. So I did not tell him what to do. I literally observed anyone who's not yet married or is divorced and going to get married again. When you enter a new relationship, observe behavior. Don't tell them what to do, just watch what they do. Don't tell them what you like and what you don't like in the beginning. You're not committed yet. Just watch what they do and ask yourself, am I feeling like I like what they do, or am I feeling like I don't like what they do? And go home and write to yourself, I felt good about this, or I did not feel good about that. Don't call up your friend. Don't ask them what they think about his behavior. Ask yourself. So I was in a really great place where I was a feminine. I was not chasing him. I was not addicted. I was observing. I was responding, not reacting. I was not telling him what I wanted. I was seeing who he genuinely was to see if it made me feel safe and was sober and stable like I knew I always wanted.
Yes. Oh, I know you would get deeper in this in your program. I do have a question. So this question kept popping up.
Yeah.
There's also the possibility not just to attract the needy person that you need to give love to, but to attract the overpowering one who does take control, but they're not really a king. They're pretending. They're like a little boy pretending to be a king.
Or like a
How do
parasite with a
you,
crown.
yes, how do you manage that person?
Thank God I never had too many of those. I had one. Um, how do you manage that person who's over controlling? I mean, it's really the same thing. You observe versus tell. The same type of controlling person who comes in your life will try to make you feel small or make you feel important because they want you. And you think that if they want you, you're more lovable. But when you have a high self worth and a low tolerance for other people's pain, but a high tolerance for your pain, which means you can handle going through pain, which means you can walk away from relationships and that'll be painful, but it'll be a lot more painful for you to stay in the relationship. So you have a low tolerance for their crap, but a high tolerance for you to know that you're strong enough to manage difficult situations. It's really the same thing. The controlling person shows up more with overt charm than the addict. An addict will show up more with kind of affection and presence and consistency because they need you just as much. A controlling person will have more push and pull, more push and pull. Same highs and lows, but just manifest in different behaviors. So the addict will get high and then be unavailable for you, right? He'll like,
Mm-hmm.
love you. I love you, honey. You're the best. He'll write you love notes. You'll make great love. He'll be there for you. And then he's like napping for 4 hours when you need him to help you with like the
Or
kids or
4 days
something,
has
or
just
4 days.
disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So same highs and lows, but difference. One is the addict's just available and not available. So it's like the form of neglect. It's abuse, but on the form of neglect. Because there's active abuse, like where someone's hitting you. And then there's neglect, which is abuse because you're not getting your needs met. Like you'll see it in kids. A child who's neglected is child abuse. Okay.
Mm.
So if an adult is getting neglected, it is adult abuse. Adults don't see it as abuse. They see it, I'm so strong. I can handle this. I love him. It's okay. He has other great qualities, right? All these excuses. I don't know what goes on in the background. I am not controlling it. I have no idea why my background changes. I'm not touching a thing. So
It
I
was
have,
perfect, though. It was perfect for the statement. It was
I know it
wonderful.
should be like, I don't know how they do. I don't know who's watching, but I'm not touching anything. Um, yeah, so they make excuses or they find the small amount of good and they say, you know what, it's good because like, he'll watch the kids at night when I have to work, so it works. Like, girl, your life's destroyed. Like, don't focus on the one good thing. So my point
And
is with
then
the
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 controller.
controller, yeah, his behavior is not with himself available and not available and neglectful. His behavior is, I want you and I don't want you. And he'll say it and he'll do
Mhm.
it. I think you're really great. Actually, I'm not sure this relationship's going to work out. I think you're really beautiful, but when I first met you, I wasn't so attracted to you. I really like the way that you look in your dress, but in your jeans, you have thick thighs. You will actually see it if you start listening. I mean, I'm an expert at what I do, so I see it real fast because I studied it a lot and I went through it a lot. But if you're new to this, start listening to what people say and how they say it, and if there's a push and a pull. A healthy person will be consistent in their communication that they want you, and an unhealthy person, that controlling person, will literally like, I want to take you out tonight at 7. You're ready for a hot date? Like, I'll take you to the fancy. Yes, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, he does want me. This is gonna work out. And then he'll like take you out, but then he won't call you for 2 weeks. Sorry, I'm really busy. I'm at work. I'm traveling for 2 weeks. I just got this big deadline. I got to. And then 2 weeks will go by. Be like, hey, honey, I missed you so much. Want to go out on a hot date? And you're like, oh my God, it is gonna work out, right? So he literally will show up and not show up physically. Like the addict's just like on and off, available and neglectful. But the controller will be like, I want you. You're amazing. Actually, you're not as awesome as I think. And I'm not sure I want to invest in this. And he'll do that push and pull till you become mentally addicted. The same way that you become addicted in gambling is the same way that addicts and controllers, literally you become physiologically addicted to these type of relationships because of the push and the pull, the yes and the no. That's how you wire your brain for addiction.
And there's a word for that. It'll come to me, but it is
Intermittent
it,
conditioning.
yeah, it's like
Intermittent.
winning. If you won all the
Yeah.
time, you would get bored. If you lost all the time, you would walk away, but you win just enough. And
To
that,
pull
if
that.
you've played slot machines, if you've been at the poker table, you win just enough to make playing the game worth it. I am so fascinated by all of this. We're going to have you on as a guest again. I would love to do that.
Yes.
Excellent work that you're doing, and there's so much more, to talk about, but I really have appreciated you bringing this out as, hey, this is something that is very real, what you are feeling, and this addictive type pull is really real, and you can change it. You don't need anybody else, your mother, your father, anybody else, or your partner, whoever, to act right. You can change it for you. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you. You gave us the Epic Love Expert is your handle. Where else can we find you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tanya. It's been awesome speaking with you. So, hey guys, if you want a relationship expert to help you get to that next relationship, definitely contact me. You can go to Epic Love Expert on Instagram, Epic Love Expert on Facebook. I have a beautiful way that you can start the process. If you go to marriedin2025.com, you can get a free PDF on like the 7 most common dating mistakes that women are doing now, like confusing attention for love, and all these things that you can really learn so much on. So I think the best way is just to go on Instagram or Facebook on Epic Love Expert and send me a DM and be like, hey, I saw you on Tanya's podcast, Faith Over Addiction, and I just want to reach out. Like, I just want to talk to you. I want to connect with you. I have a lot of different programs, but you who are listening just need to know that your life is meant for so much more, and that you're meant to be a millionaire in love, and you're meant to be a millionaire in business, and that you are meant for abundance. And so if you're playing small now, just know that you're just in a shell, and as soon as you start to peek through, you break the whole structure of that shell, and it can so much more easily fall apart for you to be birthed into this beautiful thing. So I believe in you. I see you. I love you. Thank you so much, Tanya, for having me on this podcast. This really is my passion and my work that I've built my whole company and life around. My husband just quit to join us on this beautiful relationship coaching program that we have. So I so appreciate this opportunity to speak and connect.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.